What's going on, guys? We are back with another video, and today I'm bringing you ELECEED chapter 338. Let's get to it. Chapter starts off with a view of the Bryan family skyscraper. We then transition to Arthur's father giving a speech. He goes on to say during this time where the World Awakeners Association's trust is shaken and even the top 10s have started moving, there was no better time to create an alliance than now. We then see Arthur's cousin say, how about picking the heir to calm the chaos? Arthur's father agrees. Arthur's father then names Vesper Bryan the new heir to the Bryan family and to make sure that the event is successful. Vesper says she won't let him down while coldly glaring at Arthur. Chapter continues with Jiwoo catching Arthur in the lobby. Jiwoo asks if Arthur's been doing well, but Arthur asks what is Jiwoo doing here. Jiwoo says Korea's Awakeners were invited to the event held by his father. But apparently, what Jiwoo was saying couldn't be farther from the truth. The invite was for Ji-young, but Jiwoo came in her stead because she was too busy. We then get a flashback of Ji-young and Jiwoo discussing the current situation. Ji-young says it's a friendly gathering and a couple dozen families were invited to form an alliance. Ji-young goes on to say everyone is looking for power and the Bryan family is no different. The flashback ends and Jiwoo asks Arthur why he hasn't replied all this time. He was worried something might have happened. But before the boys can catch up, Vesper appears and asks if Arthur is mad about her getting the position of heir. She then says although it was just announced, Arthur knew she was going to get picked from the jump. Arthur says of course and congratulates her. Vesper's brother says he should have taken care of himself better. If his arms were fine, he wouldn't have been passed up for the seat of heir. Jiwoo looks displeased to learn of the news. Vesper then asks who Jiwoo was, which prompts the introduction of both parties. Arthur says this is someone from Shinwa who represents the Korean organization. Vesper then thinks to herself Shinwa's been a hot topic lately. She also says it must be because of their connection to Arthur. She then says he's hanging around with a bunch of losers who are worthless. She thanks Jiwoo for coming, then says she'll officially greet him later. We then transition to Jiwoo's hotel room. Jiwoo explains the situation to Arthur for him showing up instead of Ji-young. Arthur asks if the others are doing well. Jiwoo says they're in close training, so he hasn't seen them in months. Arthur goes on to say he can't remember the last time he focused on his training. Jiwoo asks how Arthur's arm is doing, which prompts him to remove his gloves. I'm telling y'all, bro thinks he's Winter Soldier. Arthur goes on to say, although I'm able to do simple movements, due to it being a specifically made arm, I can't use my abilities with this arm, which is why he was pushed out of the competition for heir. Jiwoo looks sad, but Arthur reassures him, even in his best condition, it would have been hard. He goes on to say Vesper has a lot of backing, and the only reason he was in the lead is because he was strong. He then congratulates Jiwoo for beating Duke twice in one day, saying he's heard so many stories lately, and every time he was shocked. He also says Jiwoo has become so much stronger since they first met. Jiwoo thanks him. The two then start to catch up as we see Kaden, Pluton, and Curtin walk in. The chapter ends with the Bryan family meeting up to plan the event. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, this was one of those relaxed, dull chapters. Not a lot of action, but a lot of setup, a lot of build up towards what's coming next. And what I personally think is coming next with the event is Jiwoo is, well, I think the Bryan family, they're gonna form the alliance. That is true. But I don't think Jiwoo and Shinwa are gonna be a part of that alliance. I don't think they're gonna be a part of that alliance simply because Jiwoo might not like Vesper. And since Jiwoo is Arthur's friend, he would never want to see somebody else doing better than his friend when he knows that his friend really lost his arm trying to save him. Like on some real shit. So this chapter was fire. There's nothing more that can really be said about it. This was a decent setup chapter and I can't wait for next week. To be honest, I might just take a 1 or 2 week break just so everything can stockpile and I can get all the information together for you guys and then do a whole deep discussion breakdown video. But that's talk for another time.